So as far as this session goes, Ask Kato is something that I've done a couple times in the past. And it's really just an opportunity because I know a lot of you are at different points in your careers. Like some of you are experiencing different challenges and wanting to focus on different aspects, whether it's on the business or the marketing or your music and the production. So it's kind of all over the map. So I wanted to have at least one event a month where you guys can specifically ask questions pertaining to like what you guys are experiencing and what you guys are going through. You know, anything that you want to ask, this is your time. So that's what Ask Kato is for. So, I mean, we can just jump right into it. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask.
Now, do you have a preference on if an artist slash producer is doing both? Should they just limit themselves to one thing, or should they drop down and actually still be able to do both? Or do you think it's more of a heavy weight on them, or?
Right. That's a good question because I know Johnny, I know you're a artist and producer. And I know people that do both, and I know people that do both really well. So I think it just depends on how you split your time, and where your strengths are and where you are getting the most opportunities, you know? So if you have a lot of artists kind of sending you messages or emailing you about beats, then, you know, maybe focus a little bit more time on the production side. If you're having opportunities to like do shows and get paid and people are responding to your music, you know, online, then focus on the artist side. And if you're getting both, then that's an awesome problem to have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just kind of got to play it by ear. Hobson does both. And, you know, he's been doing that for a long, long time. And obviously he's full-time with the music, so it's easier for him to kind of put more time into both things. But, you know, I don't want to tell you to quit one to do the other. You just kind of do it how you feel. Do you feel like you're stronger at one of those than the other?
Well, right now, since I've started going full production, my artist side has kind of dropped back. I haven't really time to focus in on my artist side as far as writing music, and I've been working on beats and going to school and trying to make ends meet at home. So it's the music side has been put back on the back burner, and I mean it's affecting I believe it's affecting my artist side because people are consistency. You got to constantly put stuff out, and I've put apology letter or statuses out saying, hey, I'm sorry, I've been busy, but I am putting something together. But I know on the inside of it, I mean, I guess where you said balance is where I need to step back and look and say, hey, this is what I need to do, and put in a time for my business.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. You know, I think the hardest part about being an artist is just the fight to stay relevant, you know, always having to put out new stuff, new content. And that's not just music, by the way. That's like, you know, visuals and music videos, vlogs, like having an active kind of YouTube channel and social media. I mean, it's hard enough, man, to just be a producer, and to be an artist as well it's tough. You know, it's definitely tough, but it can be done if you're passionate about both.
Oh, I am. I just got people coming to me wanting me to shoot videos for them. Like that viral drum video, we still haven't shot the video. We've got the drums down, but we just haven't shot the video yet.
Right.
With him working and trying to get time around his schedule, and then he's got a band, so he practices with them and trying to get just me and him together so we can shoot the video and brainstorm and everything. But
right. One thing I will say though, Johnny, is that you want to make sure that you're not splitting your time so that both are not like 100%. You know what I mean? Like, make sure that make sure that if you're going to do both, then you go super, super hard with both of them. You know, otherwise you're just kind of splitting the effort in half for both of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand.
That might be counterproductive to you progressing at all. So just kind of weigh your options.
Okay. Now I've got another question. When you're doing that, how do you go about putting it out to people where it doesn't confuse them? Because I've got the production side. They see me on the production side of my business where I'm making beats, and then they see me putting out my own music. So they're like, what is he doing? Like, there's a lot of people that are like, what is he doing? Like, my wife even asked me, she's like, what are you focusing on? Are you focusing on the music side or your artist side? I'm like, well, I want to do both.
Well, you know what I think is a really, really smart way to do it. If you want to do both, produce your own music. You know, use your own music as a platform to get your production out there. And people will know, like, you know, if people are digging your music, they're obviously going to ask who's the producer or who produced this beat. And then you can say, you produced it. And that's a great way of establishing yourself as a producer as well as a really dope artist, you know? So any successful artist and producer I know are producing their own music as an artist, whether it's Russ or Hobson or, you know, any other artist / producer. They always start with producing their own music first. So I think that would be a really smart way to do it. Especially because you know your sound as an artist, you know your sound as a producer, so why not put those two things together and kill it, you know?
Correct.
So,
Thank you, Kato.
Yeah, I would definitely start there. Who else?
Yeah, I got a question for you. All right. Yeah, I was gonna ask about the just building your fan base. It seems like the beat market is so saturated right now. With people who are just, you know, making beats, and then you see Beat Stars, My Flash Store, everything. Would you say to go out every weekend and try to hit open mics, try to get, you know, to the point where people hear your sound everywhere, even if it's local? Because I know you started with Jaren, and obviously he does shows and everything, and he shouts you out as the producer. And so would you say build the grassroots maybe in your local city and start that out where people are sharing and getting to the point where you're locally known? Yeah,
absolutely. I think that's a great way to go about it. Always starting local first. And once you build that local buzz, then everyone else will have to pay attention, you know, because people will be talking about you. That's how you know, like you said, that's how me and Jaren started. We just kind of started to make noise locally in our scene. And eventually that made its way onto the internet and other people found our music, and then Funk Volume happened and that whole situation happened. And it just kept elevating from there. So yeah, I would absolutely remind me where you live.
Okay.
Where do you...
I'm in Tampa, Florida.
Tampa, Florida. Okay, so I know there's a scene out there, right?
Yeah. There's a huge scene. Yeah, that's why people have asked me, man, why don't you hit open mics? Because it's like the internet. I see a million beat makers, but I don't see anyone hitting like local. Not really. I mean, it's like Stick With It. I know he goes local everywhere, and then you do with Jaren, and then I see a couple other producers, but most producers are just at home making beats, right. And it's like they never get that buzz. Unless it just happens, you know, virally or something like that.
Yep, you're absolutely right. Not a lot of producers are actually wanting to put in the legwork to go out and network with artists in the city, or, you know, like you as a producer should be looking at all the things that other producers are not doing and see if that's an opportunity for you, you know? So it sounds like you already know that a lot of producers around Tampa are not going out into the scene, not creating those relationships with artists. And to me, that is the best way to build your sound, build your following, just build everything as a producer is with an artist that you attach yourself to, you know? So if you find that locally in your city, I think you are going to have a huge advantage over a lot of other producers.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, I'm an artist as well, so it's like I'm trying to divide that time up. but I know that doing that and just getting that grassroots kind of effort, and when you have hot music and then you have shit.
Yeah.
So if you really believe in it, I think that everyone should get out there and just start fucking blasting the scene.
Yeah.
You know?
And because you're an artist too, you should already be going out to shows anyway, so you should already be meeting artists and shaking a lot of hands at these events and at these live shows around your city. So use that as an opportunity to connect with them on a production level too, if they need it. So I think that's awesome. Just keep doing that.
Yeah, man. And I had one more question. Do you think you should keep like tabs of what you're doing at all times and kind of post it socially for everybody to see, even though, because I'm not really that kind of person who always keeps a fucking camera on my face,
right.
And everywhere I go, but should it kind of be handy to the point where everyone sees what you're doing, and then it becomes where everyone knows, like when someone says Kato, they know it's a producer, they know it's you, and it goes hand in hand. So
Right.
should it be when someone says your name, they already know what's happening?
Are you talking about as far as just like putting yourself out there on social media and showing
Yeah,
people,
I guess just dailies and stuff, because you always see people like obviously Gary Vee, and he's always posting something. He has a camera in his face. You know what I mean? Do you think that should be something that someone starts to adopt?
I think that definitely helps if you're good at that kind of thing. If you have something of interest that people would find entertaining or valuable. It's all about, why the reason why Gary Vee can put out so much content is because the content that he puts out is so valuable at the same time. It adds value to people's lives, whether it's motivational, whether it's informative. That's his value as a social media influencer, is that he adds value to other people's lives. So I think for producers and artists and music makers, our value is just kind of like adding entertainment value to people's lives. Or maybe you have like I like to post kind of more like motivational things for a lot, because I know a lot of like artists and producers follow me. And so I know the grind, like that's why I feel like I can post stuff that is very relevant to what an artist or producer is experiencing or going through. So that's the value that I add. That's why I post a lot on social media and that kind of stuff. But if you're not at that point in your career, or maybe you feel like you just need to continue working on your music so that you can do shit that's really cool in front of the camera later on, you don't have to do that right away. Just it's good to get into that habit of knowing what you should do down the line, so that when you're ready for it, then you know what to do.
I got you, man. Yeah. And one last thing. Mm-hmm. Finally, we got VSTs, bro.
I know,
we
man.
Finally got VSTs.
Bro,
the 29th.
I'm so excited about that. I have that date marked down on my calendar. Like as soon as that comes out, I'm downloading it, and it's a free upgrade, I think, for a reason.
Yeah. So. And they do the automatic latency. They like fixed everything up, and they have like everything that's gonna be worked out. And yeah, man, the 29th. I can't wait. I was about to give up on Reason. Yeah. I was about to fucking give up, bro.
Don't give up, man. This is definitely a game.
I'm about to go back on Reason now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, bro.
I'm gonna upgrade for mine for sure.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. It's definitely a game changer. I'm gonna be purchasing a shit ton of VSTs, and now I can like join in the conversation with you guys when you talk about VSTs and that kind of stuff. So I'm excited, man.
Oh yeah, man. Thank you, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, Kato, can you explain the term "in the pocket"? Like with drums and rhythm and stuff? Because I've heard this term, but the explanation of it doesn't seem to make any sense to me. So,
in the pocket is, at least when I use it in context, is like how it's fitting into the mix. I use that a lot. I use that term a lot when it comes to vocals. When vocals don't sit in the pocket, it just doesn't sound right, or it doesn't sound like it fits. You know what I mean? So it's kind of more of like a metaphorical term, and there's no real way to measure that. I think it's just having the trained ear to know whether something sounds in pocket or not. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. It just, I know it's like more of a, not an exact technical term, more of like how you explained it. So, I mean, that does give me a little more to go on. So, but yeah, thanks.
Yeah. So when someone tells you something sounds out of pocket, they're basically just telling you that it doesn't fit or it doesn't sound right, you know? So
Okay.
if that's in context of like beats, maybe choose another sound, maybe a mixing thing. So it's definitely
more for drums actually. Yeah, but
right. I can see probably drums sounding out of pocket more than like other instruments, because it's such a crucial like piece of putting gluing the track together, you know? The first thing I notice when I listen to a beat is like, do the drums sound out of place or out of pocket? And that's like the first thing I notice. So that's probably the most common thing when it comes to producing beats. So, you know, that could be a sound selection thing, or it could be a mixing thing, or both.
right. Okay, cool. Thanks, man.
Yep. Who else?
I got a question.
Go ahead.
How do you feel about business cards? Do you think that's an effective marketing strategy?
You know, I used to use business cards, and then I kind of stopped just because I felt like it was just as easy to just like give my number to someone. And I feel like business cards sometimes get lost in the shuffle. Like it's very easy, at least for me, when someone gives me a business card, it's easy for me to lose it, or just like forget to take it out of my pocket. And then I completely don't even like hit that person up. You know what I mean? So, you know, I would say it's not a bad thing to have it. You just want to do your due diligence. If it's really someone that you want to keep in touch with, then make sure that you get their contact too. Make sure that they're not just getting your number, but you're getting theirs, so that if you remember to hit them up and they don't hit you up, then you can at least reach out to them. You know what I mean?
Cool. I
might actually get some new business cards printed because
I've had some before and I used to pass them around, but I don't know if they like really worked at all. Or
as far as a marketing strategy, it definitely does not work in my opinion. Like if you're just like going around to a networking event handing out your business cards,
right.
That's not going to do anything.
Okay.
If it's someone that you make a memorable impact on, or like someone that you actually establish a relationship with or want to contact, then you just go, hey, here's my business card that's got my number on it, my email. So in that way, it's like easier.
Okay.
But it's definitely not a marketing technique.
All right, cool. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
When you're collaborating with another producer, how do you really make sure that like you both feel it's equal, like the workload is being distributed equally?
I don't really think about the workload as much as I think about the final product.
Right.
So, when I collaborate with another producer, I personally don't give a shit about who's doing more work. I just want it to turn out dope,
For sure.
So, a producer that I'm collaborating with, they can send me just like a simple, like a melody, some chords or something. And then I'll just add on whatever else I feel like fits. And I'm not necessarily thinking about who's doing most of the work. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, it's a collaborative thing. So everyone should just contribute what they feel like they can, or what their strengths are. That's one thing I will say about collaborating, though, is that you want to collaborate with people who kind of fill in your weaknesses. So for me, I feel like I'm not classically trained with the piano, or like I was never musically trained. I never took music theory. So sometimes I'm a little bit weak on like melodies and chords and that kind of thing. So if I'm going to collaborate with another producer, I'm going to find someone who's really good at that side, so that they can do their job really well. And then I feel like I'm good at like adding the rhythm and the drums and bass and 808 and that kind of stuff. So I'll add my side and hopefully the track will turn out epic. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then when it comes down to the beat actually getting sold, do you guys always just split it 50-50 or maybe 60-40?
Yeah, that's sort of a conversation that you should have with the producer. There's no set standard. I mean, hopefully if you collaborate with someone, it's someone that has a good understanding, a decent understanding of like the business side and who just wants to do things fairly and not take advantage of anyone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's kind of more of an individual conversation. If you feel like you did 60% of the work, then you just be like, hey, what do you feel like is a fair percentage? And I would always put it in their court first. You know, I would ask them, what do you think is a fair percentage for this split? You know what I mean?
Definitely.
So
thank you.
Yeah. That part always kind of it's a little bit trickier. It's not as easy as just like, you know, making a beat. It's always sometimes sort of more of a negotiation behind that, but that's an art all in itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Who else? What did A-Ray say? Just keeping yourself relevant on social media seems to help. Like everybody sees DJ Khaled, yep, all over Snapchat, and now he's bigger than ever. For sure. Definitely. I agree with that. And you know why DJ Khaled is everywhere? Because he's got the personality for it. You know, like he's entertaining to watch. He blew up on Snapchat because he's like a fucking really entertaining dude to watch. But not everyone's DJ Khaled. You know, sometimes producers just don't have a personality and people don't give a fuck about watching them in their daily lives, sitting in their room making beats. You know, that's not always fun. So it all just depends. Different skill sets. Who else?
I mean, I got another question if nobody wants to chime in.
Go ahead, man. Jump
All
in.
right. I mean, I'm not really more, obviously I'm not like trying to chase placements or anything like that, but I'm kind of curious on like your stories because I know you've gotten placements with like Chameleonaire and B.O.B. I'm just kind of curious in how you got those.
Relationships got me all of the placements that I have today. Whether it was through a mutual friend or whether it was through a direct relationship that I established with someone. But I would say 90%, maybe even more, of the collaborations I've had are people that I have in my phone, like that I can just call. You know what I mean? So these are all people that I was either in the studio with or have met in person and just connected on that level first. I'm trying to think of any placements I had where I just like sent beats. There were a couple like features. Like I got man, who was it? I got Devin the Dude on one of my records on my last Pathomania EP. And who was it? It was him and Dizzy, I think, Devin the Dude, and Trinidad or something. I don't know. But I've never met Devin the Dude in person, but that was through Trinidad, I think. Like he reached out to him and he was digging the record, so he jumped on it, you know. But that was through like a mutual connect. So it was still relationship based.
Cool. I want to actually add on to that. With getting placements, say like DJ Mustard, for instance, with him being being on the radio and him tagging his beats and stuff, would that be easier for him to get placements since he already's gotten placements, he's all over the radio and stuff like that? Would people hit him up for beats just because he's DJ Mustard?
100%. 1,000%. You know, I'm sure once you get a buzz, man, once you get hot, everyone wants to do records with you, you know. That's just the nature of the universe. That's with anything. That's with any industry, you know, not just music, but if you're like on top of the business world, if you're good in your field and people know it, they're going to come crawling to you like, you know, like that's your time, you know, that's your moment. So take advantage of those opportunities once you're there. But yeah, 1,000%. If you're hot, everyone's going to come to you.
Cool.
I have a question. So about your relationships that you said they ended up in placements, were they all with the artist himself or herself, or it was through A&Rs and managers too? And are they really like helpful in terms of like having contacts? Like how would you evaluate like getting in contact with A&Rs and managers?
Right. Me personally, I've never gotten a placement through an A&R. I think Dame, when I was on Funk Volume, Dame connected me with Chameleonaire. That might be the only one where I can think of where, you know, a manager linked me up with an artist. I might have had a couple more, but for the most part, it was all just direct relationship based. If you're working with an A&R or a manager, it's really the same concept. Like you have to develop relationships with these people, or else otherwise they really don't give a fuck about getting you placements, you know, unless they have some invested value or some investment in, you know, getting you a placement. You know, why else would someone try to help you out if they have no vested interest in that, you know? So it's the same thing. It's the same concept. Build relationships, and that's how you get placements.
And so how was your approach in kind of like sending them beats? Like how often do you do that? Just not to spam the hell out of them, and at the same time, like keep the relationship going?
Yeah, that's a good question. A lot of times when you have built these relationships with people, they'll reach out to you first. They'll be like, yo, I'm working on a new project, send me some beats. So if you have a good relationship with them, you really don't have to do much. You just build that relationship, you keep it, and they'll let you know when they need some tracks. You know, you can, of course, you can like send them stuff out of the blue. But if it's someone that is busy and has a lot on their schedule, you know, sometimes you'll just catch them at a bad time. Maybe they'll be on tour, so like they're not checking their email very much, and it might just slip through the cracks. But, you know, I would say most of the time they will reach out to you.
Gotcha. So you don't have like a schedule to say, I want to send them like beats once a month or once every 2 weeks. You don't have that type of approach.
I kind of mix it up a little bit. You know, I definitely do send tracks out of the blue to random artists that I know, if I feel like it's dope and I feel like it'll fit them. And sometimes they'll be like, yo, this is hot. I'm going to use this on something. Other times I just won't hear back, you know? So I would say it doesn't hurt to just send tracks to people. At the end of the day, you have nothing to lose, you know? So either way, I wouldn't send tracks to that person every single day, because then that might get kind of annoying, but still you really have nothing to lose. So why not, you know?
And so also one question, what is your approach to like picking which beats you're going to put in your beat store? Are they the ones that like you send to artists and nobody asks for it and then you put it on the beat store? Or you just, even if you want to shop it to like artists that you really like, you just put them as exclusive beats and then
Yeah. Sometimes I will like go through my beats. Let me try to show you guys. Maybe if I screen share. see. Okay, so you guys see this, right? So this is my beats folder right now. I have it organized by like exclusive tracks, nasty tracks, beats, sold. I got a couple in stock music, and then I have some tracks with reference vocals. But let's just go to my exclusive. Most of the beats I make, I put in this folder. So these are all the beats right now that I have that are just kind of sitting on my computer, not really doing anything. So, you know, most of these I've like sent to other artists, you know, so I have no shortage of product. That's not my problem. My problem is just figuring out what to do with all these, you know, and that's a good problem to have. So, it just kind of depends on where you are in your career. Like I'm at the point now where I can take my time and just, I don't have to rush anything, you know? So, again, I know a lot of you are at like different points in your career. Some of you guys maybe have like 5 beats on your hard drive.
Just tell me how you know where I'm going. How?
You know, maybe some of you guys have more than that. But as far as deciding which ones go on nasty tracks, I determine that more so of like which beats are selling really well, and let me find beats that fit that sound and try to do more of that, you know, because it's a business at the end of the day. So that just makes sense to me. If you're running a business, something that's selling really well, you want to try to replicate that, right? So that's more of what I'll judge, like which beats to put in my store. And I want to say this for all you producers, like don't be scared to like do something with your track, because anything is better than just letting it sit on your hard drive collecting dust, you know? And if you make one hot track, you can make 100 others, you know? So don't, what's the word I'm looking for? Don't be timid about putting out your hottest shit. You know, if anything, that's going to help you way more than it's going to hurt you. So, I used to have that mentality as a producer. It's like, I make a hot beat that I think is fucking fire, and I want to like hold on to that beat as closely as I can, because I want it to eventually like get placed with Drake, and then my entire career will blow up, you know. But it usually doesn't happen that way. So, and I eventually got to the mentality. I got through that. I broke through that mentality, and I was like, you know what? Like, I can cook up hot beats all day long. You know, that's not an issue. If I did one, I can do 100 others like it. So don't be afraid to put your music out there, man, whether you're leasing it or shopping it around to different artists or, you know, whatever. It's better than just sitting on your hard drive.
Kato, one quick question. When you're going to post beats on your beat store, do you like just handle the mix on your own and then post it, or do you like kind of outsource it to have someone do some magic on it and then you post it? Like how important is that at the end of the day, presenting this product?
It's definitely super important, because as competitive as this whole online beat selling game is, your stuff has to sound top notch, you know? So if mixing is not your strong suit, which by the way, Nasty Tracks will start offering mixing services probably within the next week or two. And that includes beat mixing. So if any of you guys feel like maybe you're not the best mixer on your beats, then we'll offer that. And that's going to start at, I believe, $50 per beat. But it's an investment. It's definitely super, super important to get a really good mix on your beat. You know, for me, I feel like I'm at the place where I have pretty good mixes on my tracks, and I know how things should sound. So I do all my own beat mixing. When I produce a record, obviously with vocals and everything, I'm definitely going to take it to an engineer, let him mix and master it.
I got another question.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So when did you feel like I know I asked this before, it was about your sound, but when did you feel like you were ready to go from the frying pan into the fire? Like 100%, and you were just definitely in tune with everything you were doing?
Shit, I mean, I still don't really feel like I'm fully, I don't know. I don't I don't know that I've ever felt like I'm at the top of my game, because I always feel like there's new levels to achieve, you know. It's like a it's like a video game, you know. There's always new levels. Um I guess, you know, and I probably already answered your question the first time, but uh definitely like crafting my sound with an artist helped me establish my sound as a producer. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, it's like kind of like what Gary Vee says, I guess. Again, he says you're never going to be ready. You know, you just kind of got to throw yourself into it. Um, I think us just as producers, we always critique our own shit, and we're our biggest critics. So it's like, ah, man, this didn't sound right. This doesn't sound right here. You know, so sometimes I'll catch myself where I'm like, I don't want to post this until it's ready. And it's like you said, it just sits in my hard drive, and then I'm trying to work on it more and more and tweak it.
Yeah.
But I'm getting to the point where I'm thinking I just got to jump in.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I would agree with that, you know, because even now, like I said, I still don't feel like my stuff, I feel like my stuff could be better. And I always feel like that. But at the same time, if you want to make progress, like you have to be willing to put your stuff out there and at least get the feedback. Like give it a chance to live, you know, with people, and to resonate with people, and see like what the feedback is and how people feel about it, you know, because at the end of the day, we make music for ourselves, but we also make it for other people too. So if you're going to make music for other people, then you got to put it out there, you know. So I would, if I was you, I would jump right in and just start putting it out and see what people think. And maybe that'll give you more of a roadmap of where you are, you know.
I mean, I feel you there, Kato. I've got one track. It's called Faded Realm. I put it up on YouTube, but it's not at the master mix that I'm wanting.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I feel what you're saying there. Just put it out there so it could live.
Yeah.
But at the end, I mean, when you put it out, do you want to let people know that it's not finished, so they, like, it's not the quality that you want, so they understand that you're still working on it? Or
no, I wouldn't. You know what I would do? I would try to get it to the point where I'm happy with it. You know, at least I would try to get it to the point where, okay, I can live with this. If I can live with this, then hopefully other people can live with it too. And I wouldn't, you know, attach any sort of disclaimer to it. I wouldn't let people know that it's still a work in progress. Just see what people say about it. You know, you never know. We put out tons of records where we didn't think it would get any sort of reaction from people. And it ended up being like the most popular song on the album, or people's like a fan favorite, you know? So don't attach any disclaimer to it. Just get it to a point where you feel happy about it and put it out. That's it. Sometimes we tend to overthink our music, and when you overthink it, it kind of hinders progress sometimes. So.
And also, do you feel like if you let it sit on the shelf in your hard drive, basically, you think of the creativity of it, of that song that you had expectations for, you think they have like an expiration date, as far as if you let it sit on the shelf too long and you go back to it and you're like, I'm not feeling it anymore?
Possibly, but then who knows, like a year down the line, you might re-listen to it and be like, you know what, this is actually kind of fire, you know? Like, that's just how artists think. Like, one day you might be feeling it, and the next day you're not, but then the next day you are. It's just very, very hot and cold sometimes. But I know one thing is that if you're constantly progressing, then looking back at your old stuff, you'll definitely hear how it could have been improved. So, I do that all the time. I listen to some of my older beats and I'm like, damn, I like the idea that it started on, but the drums could be improved or the arrangement could have been better. You know what I mean? There's always some aspect of it that could be better. That's if you're constantly progressing. So it should be that way, I don't know. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'd answer my questions, but I mean, I see where you're coming from. I see a lot of artists, or not artists, but producers, they'll put beats out on YouTube, and the intro will go a certain way, and then the timing is totally different from the verse and the chorus, and it throws you off because if you want to throw some vocals in on the intro, it's just, it throws me off. I was listening to some the other day, and it was like, I was listening to it, and it sounded like I seen what they were going for, but it didn't mix well. There was no feng shui with it. So,
yeah. So you're saying that you would have done something different with it?
Yeah, I mean, I would have, like, they had like one melody for the intro, and then they went totally off that melody into the verse, and it was like, I mean, I understand going from a verse to a chorus, but your intro you want to build your intro up to your verse or to your chorus, so it builds the song. Yeah. And if you cut the melody off from the rest of the song, it kind of throws the listener off. They're like, there's nothing here.
Yeah.
You always want to leap them forward, the listener forward to the song, keep them interested in what's coming next. So.
Right. I got you. And that's the beauty of music, man. Not everyone does the same thing. And I think that's cool. The fact that you would have done something different is fine. That's not a problem. I mean, as long as you're trying to progress and push things forward, I think it's never a bad thing to take chances either. Why not try something totally different or totally left field? It might just lead you to like a breakthrough or a new sound or discovering something that you didn't do before. I don't think that's a bad thing at all, so don't be afraid to experiment at the same time.
Okay.
When are we going to see a Kato kit?
A drum kit or like a sound?
Yeah, bro. Yeah, sound, whatever.
I have a couple out there, but it's been a while. It's definitely been a while. I don't know. I gotta find the time to do it. And I think if I were to do that, I don't know, I might be missing the boat on that whole wave, because I feel like that's another part of the industry that's become really, really popular with producers. And, I dabble with the idea, but I'm just not there mentally yet. So yeah, every producer and their mother's dropping kits right now. So
yeah, I feel it. Yeah, man.
I got DJ Payne sitting in my hard drive. I haven't touched it yet. Put a beat together.
Yeah. I mean, let me try to show you guys.
Yeah, I just got a Sick With It kit. He's dope as fuck, dude.
Yeah, he's a good dude too. That's the
I'm looking forward to speaking with him on one of these.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's a good. Sometimes I forget like who I know, but I would love to get him on. I'm sure he would be super down to jump on.
Yeah, I think because he uses Reason too, man, and he's super inspirational as well.
Yes, yeah. I forgot that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's dope. I definitely need to get him on something.
Him and Decap always use their kits all the time.
Decap's got some fire kits. Decap will be on next month. So.
Oh really? Holy shit! Oh man, he's a huge inspiration for me, bro.
Yeah, for sure. He's dope, man, and I think he can provide a lot of insight into like the whole like sample kits and drum kit world. If any of you guys are interested in that, and he's just a dope producer. He has a lot of like credits, and you know, he's very dope. I have his kits right here.
Yeah, and sound design as well. He's just everything. He's rounded as fuck.
Yeah, sound design. He's definitely got some insight on that too. But yeah, I told him, we were just texting the other day, and I was supposed to have him on this month, but I had already locked someone in. I had already locked in J Hatch for this month. So,
shit, okay.
Yeah, Decap will definitely be on next month. But yeah, these are some of the kits that I use. The Illmind Blap kits are always cool. They have a lot of good sounds in them. The Decap.
You get Illmind on here?
Yeah, we might. I recently connected with him at the last A3C.
Oh shit.
So yeah, we could try to reach out to him too.
Yeah, I always listen to his Blap chat. It's good.
Yeah, for sure. What other kits? The Cardiac Flatline kit Volume 2 is good. I use Big White's kit a lot for like trap stuff. What else? The Vibe kit is always good. There's a ton, man. Johnny Giuliano Trap Ghost drum kit. I have my own kits in here. Blackjack, who is a Beat Club member, he recently provided some kits in our Facebook group. It's the MM Critical State and the MM 416 kit. Those two are really, really good. They have a lot of cool sounds in them.
Those are available for us or for purchase?
I don't know where he got them from somewhere, but he
okay.
He dropped a link to it in the Facebook group. So if you just search those two kits, if you search those two kits in the Facebook group, then you should find them, and he just provided them for free.
All right. Yeah. Is that your grass-fed dog?
Yeah. Yeah, that's Callie. Trying to keep her healthy, you know.
Yeah, so what's good with these artists?
What do you mean?
Like what is like the goal for them? What's the agenda?
Oh, the artists that I added to the Facebook group.
Yeah.
The goal is to hopefully help you guys collaborate with some dope artists, you know, because I've heard a lot of you say that you want to get your beats to artists and to get your music out there. And what better way to do that than to collaborate with an artist or a rapper, you know? So all these guys were kind of hand selected. I reached out to, you know, Ellipso. I reached out to him and some of the other gold and platinum members to help me. When I sent out that Nasty Tracks email blast, I must have gotten like 200 submissions. Maybe that wasn't the best way to do it because I was only looking for like 10 artists to add to our group just to start with. So I just started forwarding them to a bunch of you guys, and you guys hand selected the ones that you liked. And I've started to reach out to them and add them to the group. So the goal is just to make great music.
I got a question real quick. Speaking of artists, what's like one thing when it comes to the music aspect, what's the one thing the first thing you listen to from an artist?
I listen for originality. I listen to lyricism and their bars, the flow. I listen for something unique, some unique quality that I haven't heard before, or something that just gets a reaction out of me, you know?
Yeah, I totally agree. That's exactly what I was looking for. Like, I don't think this first batch of rappers, like, I honestly don't think one of them was, like, stuck out.
Yeah, well, that's okay.
I think they're all, like, just kind of did the same shit.
Yeah.
Like, nothing, like, I don't know. It's just, like, okay. You know? Like, nothing like, whoa, this guy.
And that's probably going to be 98% artists, all artists that you ever listened to in your life, you know, unfortunately. So yeah, like I said, I got a shit ton of I still got a shit ton of submissions just sitting in my inbox. So if any of you wanna, if any of you are interested,
send those.
Yeah, send them over, bro.
Okay.
Yeah. One more question: if you are an artist, and we want to collab with someone, because I rap too, could we just throw it together and just kind of throw it out on Beat Club and see who wants to go ahead and collab on there?
Yeah. I mean, that's why I added these artists, so that you guys can reach out to them if you want, or maybe you post a beat asking for feedback in the Facebook group and they hear it and they like it and they'll reach out to you. Like, however it happens, I want it to happen. So I've also added them to Member Planet so that they'll get notifications on like upcoming events. So if they even want to jump into some of our live streams or one of our beat critiques and just listen to beats from you guys, then I'm cool with that. You know, that's what I want.
Good shit. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, bro.
And if that goes well, like, I'll continue adding artists to the group. 'Cause I know so many just independent artists who are looking for beats all the time. So I just figured it makes sense for us to start adding them to our group so that you guys can hopefully start collaborating with them.
And I got a question.
Oh shit. All right.
Is there any way you could get like a more known artist in the page to give more advice for us upcoming artists that need that education, as far as the educational knowledge that we need for coming out? I mean, you're on the producer side and you watch Jaren come up, but just having that feedback come back from an artist as far as what goes through their mind and their process of getting things going.
Right. Yeah. So my goal with artists is to, you know, I'm just trying to figure out where to fit in the events that I can bring on special guest artists and do like an actual live stream like this, where producers can ask them questions, artists like yourself can ask them questions, producers and artists can ask questions. So I don't know yet if I'm gonna add them to the actual group, because a lot of those guys are busy anyway. So I'm not sure how much sense it would make to, you know, they probably wouldn't even have time to really check the group like that. But if I bring them on to like a special event and we do like a 1.5 hour stream, then that would be a good opportunity for you to add, to ask questions and that kind of stuff. So for sure, we're gonna try to lock in some artists.
I mean, before I asked the question, I already knew that's probably what the answer was as far as I'm being busy.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was just where I was thinking about it. But
yeah, no, I think
that what you're doing, I mean, with that once a month kind of thing, where you bring in an artist and another producer, I mean, that's dope, because I mean, us coming up, we think it's a certain way. Like 2 years ago, I thought it was a certain way. And now that I look back, I'm just like, wow. And then artists coming up, throwing stuff on Facebook, you're like, dude, you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I was in that same boat, but so,
yeah,
I appreciate it.
There's no roadmap to this music shit, whether you're an artist or producer. But, you know, I know that it would help a lot of you guys to get insight on like past experience and that type of stuff. So we'll make that happen for sure.
Thank you, Kato.
Yes, sir. Who else? We got about 10 minutes.
I got a question.
I've got a question. You go first, dude.
Let's do J Plus and then we'll get to Anthony.
All right. My question for you, Kato, is like, say there's like a pretty established MC, maybe on social media, like a locksmith or something, and he might post something, you know, giving out an email to email him, like, you know, beats and stuff, which, you know, happens. What would you recommend, like, would you just send them beats, or would you like personalize it with like a message, or like how would you go about that?
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to add the personalized touch, especially since Locksmith has been on our beat club session before. So I would try to distinguish myself by maybe saying in the subject line, like, hey, I met you in Kato's Beat Club, or, you know, I was in the live stream event in Beat Club, whatever. But, you know,
Well, what if it's, I'm sorry, what if it's like, I just used him as an example, like for his level, his stature, but what if it's like someone you've never like ever had any conversation with or anything like that?
Got you. You know, I don't really, again, I don't think it could hurt, you know. I would be, me personally, I would be a little bit more conservative with the approach. Like, I wouldn't try to overdo it by, like, you know, I wouldn't try to overdo it. I wouldn't try to be like funny or force anything that just sounds kind of like corny or cheesy. Hopefully, if you're doing your thing as a producer, maybe he might already be familiar with you, or you just let the music speak for itself, you know? That's why these things like, you know, rappers putting their email out there and asking for beats, it's such a shot in the dark, especially if you don't know them or you've never met them before. You're literally just kind of gambling on the fact that, one, they'll even open your email, and two, they'll like your stuff enough to reach out to you, you know?
Exactly.
So
yeah, I was just trying to see like what would increase the odds. Like, obviously there's no guarantee, but you know, what you've maybe done that you thought worked more than, you know, just sending a like 5 or 10 beats or something, and you know.
yeah, it's really a shot in the dark, man. I mean, I don't think there's really anything you can do that's going to speak louder than your music, you know?
Yeah.
So when it comes to that type of thing, just send them your best shit. That's
yeah,
all
yeah. All right, thanks, man.
Yeah. Now you got me thinking, like, I'm trying to think, is there something, is there a strategy to?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, you know, I wonder if there's something that, you know, maybe you or someone do.
I mean, throw some fire emojis in the subject line. I don't know.
Yeah, because I'm thinking like, you know, they post a status or something or somewhere, like a tweet, and they're expecting, you know, hundreds of people to message them. Like, what makes them pick certain people, or you know, how much time do they have to really listen, you know?
Yeah, at the end of the day, when an artist does that, I think he's just looking for some really fire beats, you know?
Right, yeah.
You know, I don't think they're looking for anything in particular. They're probably just looking for some shit that inspires them. So visually, maybe something that you can do is just throw a bunch of fucking like bomb emojis and like fire emojis in the subject line, and that'll
yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. Outside of that, I don't really know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Yes, sir. Anthony, what's up, man?
Hey, what's up, Kato?
What you got?
Yeah, just production wise, like I'm getting a bit better, like I'm noticing and stuff, but I'm still really struggling with the bass.
Mm-hmm.
So just wondering if you have like any tips on how to manipulate that a little bit, like to make it sound more unique. Because right now, like, kind of sounds a bit flat and boring.
Right. So when you say you're struggling with the bass, you're just talking about the arrangement,
like,
or sounds?
Like the bass line, like the melody, all that. Like I can get it sound alright or fitting, but it sounds a bit dull in a way.
Right.
And then anything I do a bit crazier kind of makes it sound a bit too messy, so I can't get that fine line.
Yeah, I know what you mean. You know, when it comes to putting arrangements and melodies together, something that's really helped me is just listening to other music, you know, and seeing how it's done and listening for like certain elements that maybe I'm struggling with. So if it's a bass line, just listen to a shit ton of music and specifically listen to like how the bass lines are put together. Bass is a super, super important, but kind of tricky instrument to add to your tracks. Cause it can, for me, it can make or break a track. Line is like whack, or, you know, sometimes it's very easy to be overdone.
Like when I'm playing around with it, I'm like, this sounds okay, then I change something, I'm like completely, it messes the whole thing up.
Yeah. I know what you mean. I would just, you know, it's not an overnight fix, but I would just start listening to bass lines in all of your favorite stuff you listen to, you know?
Yeah, listen to it, like I listen to it and it's like, okay, and I'm like, how the fuck did I do that? It's like, where would I go to figure that out?
Yeah, exactly. I know what you mean, but eventually, like it's going to help you understand how bass lines are put together, and that's going to manifest into like how you do your own production, you know?
Yeah. What about tracks that don't really like have much bass in them? Like, how would you feel that extra spacing without having that bass like in the background?
Right. Yeah, I mean, not all beats need a bass line. Not all songs have to have a bass line. I think it definitely makes it more interesting, even if it's kind of just thrown in there at different parts and not necessarily the whole song, you know?
Yeah.
But how I would fill that out, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of just a case by case basis. Like sometimes you probably don't need any bass at all, but then you want to make sure that the melodies are interesting enough, or the melodies grab you enough so that you don't need a bass line.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, so
it's
kind of a fine line, but you just got to use your ears, man.
Yeah, hopefully I can join the next critique, because I haven't been able to join any lately.
Yeah.
Because time difference and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I know. I understand that time difference.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Thanks for that.
Yes, sir. Anyone else? Any final questions or comments? I see Brodacious, I see you posted your stuff.
Yeah.
Is that...
I got one more. I'm not exactly sure if I should save it for like the mixing live session, but I'm gonna ask anyways. This pertains to mixing. Now I'll use a compressor for an example. What's the difference between a stock compressor in the program compared to like a fab filter compressor? Like, what's the difference between a stock plugin and a compressor that you buy off the shelf? Like, is there a big sound difference or?
Yeah, from what I know, like different plugins and different compressors kind of add different character. So, you know, like really, really classic compressors and hardware. Like the one that I like in Reason is I want to say it's the C670, and it's modeled after like some vintage, just like a classic vintage compressor that's really popular. And it brings out like a certain character that stock plugins don't necessarily do, you know? So when you're using plugins or when you're using hardware, the really, really good ones are going to bring out certain character in your sound, you know? It's subtle, but it definitely does make a difference, whether that adds like a certain airiness or it adds a certain like color to your sound. That's why people pay thousands and thousands of dollars for these really like expensive pieces of hardware. And you can't really emulate that. It's hard to emulate. So I would say that's the primary difference between like stock plugins and really expensive ones.
All right, cool. Thanks.
Yeah. But that's something that you should definitely ask Dakota in our next special mixing session.
All right, I will, for sure.
Yeah. All right, y'all. So our next session, so like I just told Alex, on the 14th, I believe, which is next Sunday, we're going to be doing a special live event with my mix engineer, Dakota G, and he's going to be doing a screen share of like a record that he mixed for me. He's going to be answering all of your guys' questions about mixing, mastering, all of that stuff. So for any silver members that are in here right now, since this is a special session that not everyone, needs, particularly like if you're just beginning with your music production, or if you still don't, aren't at that point in your production yet where you need to know those like in-depth mixing tips. But if you do, then this would be a session to attend. The tickets are $20 for silver members. Gold and platinum members will get in free. So the link will be emailed and texted to you the day of the event or the day before. But definitely if mixing and mastering is something that you want to try to learn more, then this is the event. So make sure you purchase your ticket before next Sunday, and you'll be able to attend that. It's Sunday at 1 p.m., I think. So hopefully same time as today. Any final words?
Yeah, one thing. I forwarded you those 2 guys that we were talking about. I don't know if you got it yet, but.
Okay, cool. I will check, and I'll reach out to them, and we'll add them to the group.
Okay, cool.
Hey,
Awesome.
Kato.
Yeah.
Feel free to send me more rappers, dude. I'll check them out too.
Oh,
The
okay.
email you've got? Yeah.
For sure. I'll send you a couple.
Kato, do you have any tracks that you could send out for us to practice mixing on?
Any tracks to send out? What do you mean, like beats or records or what?
Like beats. I mean, right now I'm in school for the mixing side, so I want to like perfect my mixing abilities. But to do that, I want to be able to have something to practice on. Would you have anything that you would be able to send over? I wouldn't release it or anything. I'd send it back to you, but
let me see what I got. I'm kind of all over the place right now. I mean, I'm working on so many different things. I'm just kind of drawing a blank, but let me see what I got.
Okay.
Send me an email. Send me an email just to remind me, and
Okay.
I'll look at what I got.
I appreciate it, Kato.
Cool, no doubt. All right, everyone. Well, thank you for tuning in. I will have this session posted on Member Planet by tomorrow, and yeah, hopefully have a good Sunday, y'all.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, peace, Kato.
See y'all later. Peace.